Hey everyone, it's Erin with Hail Varsity. I'm joined by Greg, also Hail Varsity, and we are here at Memorial Stadium. Just finished another post practice for football, and we have all the news and updates for you. As we do always, a quick injury update. Ramir Johnson, who was out against Minnesota after, second quarter?
Yes. Second quarters, I believe.
Minnesota, everything is a blur.
That feels like that happened 3 weeks ago.
Right. Well, anyway, as many of you know, he had to go into concussion protocol. Scott Frost has talked about it a little prior till now, but as of today, Ryan Held gave us an update that he is through protocol. He's been cleared.
Yes.
He is back to practice. So for anyone who's curious about a little bit of what's going on with the running backs, they do have Ramir Johnson back. So aside from that, we heard from both coordinators, again, Ryan Held, Tony Tuioti, and then a few different players. So let's just kind of run through it. What was your big takeaway from today?
Yeah, I think that first, Eric Chenander, defensive coordinator, spoke about, and he was highly complimentary of Jeff Brom as a play caller, as he should be, given Brom's reputation. And I think that being, on their toes, the Huskers defense this week, given the situation with Purdue. And I know that Aiden O'Connell was named kind of the QB1 for this week, but they are definitely known to rotate those quarterbacks. So Nebraska will definitely have to scout 3 different quarterbacks just in case.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up with the quarterback situation and just especially the pass rush and just paying attention as a defense to what Purdue is going to throw at Nebraska, because Tony Tuioti talked about that with the defensive line. Obviously, the defense has had a really strong season. Even with Minnesota, the defense has found ways, even when the going gets tough, to kind of go into halftime, get things sorted out, find the juice, like we know against Minnesota was what was lacking, and come back after half and really, have a different type of game. So, things have gone well for the defense, but even Tuioti mentioned, they can be better. Right. They need to keep playing. He mentioned the word he used was violent, is that he would like to see more, just them come off the blocks more violently was his thing. Okay. And so he talked a little bit about things that they've been doing to help the players kind of get that. They've been watching different players, their NFL film, like Joey Bosa, just trying to give some different perspective on other players that they can kind of look at their game and hopefully emulate. And I know he's mentioned Joey Bosa was one that they had just watched today. So that is something where the defensive line, while it's had a strong season, still room for improvement. He even talked about the younger players on the defensive line, which kind of fed into the whole transfer portal and junior college potential, just with recruiting, because he has a room that doesn't really need to recruit.
They're in an interesting spot with the defensive line, yeah.
Yeah, so he was asked kind of how do you do that when you have a group of older players that are really holding it down? They're going to return for another year. They're not leaving anytime soon. And his big thing was you have to just keep preaching next man up, teaching the younger players like Nash Hutmacher that his name just melded together for me. But having Nash understand you're the next person up, right. You got to be ready to go when your number is called. And so that was really what we heard from Tony Tuioti today, and it really goes back into kind of what Chenander said just about that pass rush and being prepared for what Jeff Brom. He can be a sneaky guy.
He definitely can. On the offensive side of the ball, one of the things that stood out to me from Ryan Held was him talking about putting the team in pressure situations. That was something that Scott Frost had mentioned yesterday as well. But Held also added that the guys have really responded to that. He said that he liked how they have come prepared to do that, because it was something that the team said that they wanted more of, to be put in more of those pressure situations in practice. And since they wanted it, they're getting it. So it'll be really interesting to see how that then transfers over to game day. Is it something that the team has kind of struggled with over the last few years, of those pressure situations at the end of games and just having just the wrong thing happen at those times?
Yeah, and I heard just a little bit of Matt Lubick's time when he was speaking, and he was giving a lot of credit to Purdue and what they've been able to do on defense. Purdue is one of those teams where I think kind of in a similar way to Nebraska, in a similar vein, where you don't 100% know what you're going to get. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what...
As evidenced by the last couple of weeks with them, yeah.
Where, they could come out and have a really, really strong game, or they could come out and have some areas where they struggle. But he gave Purdue's defense a lot of credit for what they're capable of doing. And, we heard from a couple, even Levi Falk was just talking about how, in his opinion, he's seen improvement from the offense, and that Adrian is getting more time in the pocket. They do feel like the option is working more efficiently. Now, part of the thing with the option is really dependent on Adrian's health. We saw against Minnesota, he was sort of running the option a little bit differently. He was definitely pitching it without really running much, and as we know, he's been working through injuries, but we also know that he and Scott Frost said on Monday that he is 100%. He's good to go for Purdue. So whatever was ailing, the various things that were ailing him pre-bye week, it seems the bye week has helped kind of allow some recovery time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Purdue throws at Nebraska, because just similarly to like how Purdue has 3 quarterbacks and they can kind of just rotate through things, it feels like that's sort of what Jeff Brown does, is he's just big on rotating.
Yeah, he has no problem whatsoever. And I guess you kind of have to know that if you're a quarterback on his team, that you make a mistake, you may come out. You may not get the chance to go ahead and rectify that, because there are 2 more guys that are waiting in the wings to come in for you. And while that can be tough for probably his players, it's even tougher on a defense, right? An opposing team to focus on and try and figure out, because all of those quarterbacks do different things as well. They're just different enough. So that makes that really hard. And then we've also gone this whole time without mentioning David Bell and the guy that, kind of makes everything go for that offense.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy? Why do you need to worry about him? And so he's definitely someone that will have the full attention of Nebraska's defense this week as well.
It's interesting, though, just to kind of finish this video, at least for today, is we also, when you're talking about mistakes and how somebody can come out, I know a number of you have actually asked this question here on YouTube, but also on Twitter and different things, is about running backs and how it felt like Nebraska has kind of done that with its running backs, where if somebody makes a mistake, they come out, and trying to understand that rotation. Well, Ryan Holt did give us a little bit of an explanation of that today, that he said a big thing that they've been dealing with, especially with some of these younger running backs, is just when something happens, they're trying to make plays happen without just letting the game come to them. And so in a lot of cases, he mentioned, I think it was Gant.
It was Gant,
where
switching the ball in
traffic, and how that was something that was like, you can't do that. And so he explained a little bit more of the reasoning for why certain players have come out, and the most consistent player at this point has been Ramir Johnson. But he really did, in my opinion, a pretty good deep dive on each of the players, like Stadion Morrison, and just why they've had to rotate them in and out because of different things, just mistakes that they've made. So if you want to know more about that, we have that video here on our YouTube channel. So just go and look for the video from Ryan Held, and you can actually just watch that breakdown for yourself versus me trying to recap it for you. But as always, we really appreciate you commenting, taking the time to watch this video, commenting, leaving questions. We try to answer them if it's something we are able to answer.
Right.
So we will be back on Thursday with even more.
Yes.
We will hear from Coach Scott Frost then. And yeah, we just appreciate you as always. Greg, any final thoughts?
No, it's good. No. I never, whenever, it's not like you don't say that every week. I should probably have an answer for that by now. It's fine. It's fine. Well, we hope that you have a great couple of days until we talk to you soon. Again, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Go follow us on Twitter, Facebook, everything. Doesn't matter. We'll talk to you later.